Atlanta, June 11, 2023. Leona Patrice Ward was on her way to work when police lights flashed behind her. She pulled over, thinking it was just a routine stop. But within minutes, she was in handcuffs. Officers said they found something in her trunk. Leona was 36, newly married, and had never been in trouble before. No warnings, no criminal record. But this traffic stop? It wasn't random and it wasn't small. It was the start of something much darker. And sadly, she wasn't the first. Leona had always been the quiet type. The kind of person people waved to from their porches. She lived low-key, didn't ask for much attention, and stayed out of the spotlight. If you knew her well, though, you'd know she carried a lot inside. She was an only child. Her dad passed away from lung issues when she was 19. Her mom died 6 years later from cancer. By 25, Leona had no close family left. She stayed in the home where she grew up just off East Henry Street and had a small savings left by her mother. It wasn't a fortune, but it helped. Leona never took it easy, though. She worked hard. By her early 30s, she had made a name for herself in Savannah. She started doing home makeovers on the side, just basic paint jobs and budget fixes. But soon it turned into a full design studio. People trusted her. She was calm, smart, and made spaces feel like home. That's why her clients kept coming back. In 2021, she expanded her business to Atlanta and Charlotte. It was a bold move, but she was ready. She had saved, planned, and invested wisely, owning her family home, a rental property, and a shared office space for her team. She was doing well financially. Personally, she kept to herself. No big friend group. No relatives checking in. Her circle was small but solid. She kept her life private. When it came to dating, she'd stepped away years ago after a bad relationship. She never shared details, just said it taught her a tough lesson: love isn't always honest. By early 2023, Leona was focused on her work and keeping her life in order. She had no idea someone was already watching her, and not for good reasons. They met on February 3, 2023. It was at a networking event in a boutique hotel. Leona didn't even want to go. She didn't like social mixers or sleazy events. But a coworker said it might help her business grow. So she went. She showed up late, took a quiet seat at the back, poured a glass of water. That's when he walked up. He said his name was Ruben Kai Delmore. He looked the part, tall, confident, well-dressed. The kind of guy who made people move without even trying. He spoke calmly, never loud, never rushed. His voice was smooth and deep, the kind that made people stop and listen without even knowing why. He looked like someone who had his life together, nothing to prove, always in control. He told Leona he worked in international shipping, moving goods in and out of ports along the Gulf Coast. Said he'd been doing it for years, always on the move, and now he just wanted something stable. Something quiet. He didn't talk much about his past. When she asked, he just said it was complicated. No real family. A rough childhood. She didn't push him. That wasn't her way. She knew what it was like to keep parts of yourself hidden. Still, there were little things, small red flags. He never answered calls in front of her. He used different cards to pay for things or paid in cash even when it didn't make sense. And once, when she tried to tag him in a photo online, she couldn't find his profile. Not under his name. Not anywhere. He told her he deleted everything after a break-in. Said it was safer that way. I've seen what the internet can do to people, he told her. And she believed him. Because some people just know what to say. And Ruben did. He didn't win her over with big gifts or fancy dates. Instead, he paid attention. When she was stressed, he'd suggest a quiet drive. When she didn't feel like talking, he'd sit beside her in silence. And when she told him about losing her parents, he listened, really listened. Not out of pity, but like he understood. He made her feel safe. Seen. When he talked about the future, he always included her. He said he admired how she built her business without help. That most women he met were chasing status, but not her. She was different. She was real. It didn't take long for her to fall for him. She told one close friend, he's steady. No games. Just real. And that was something she hadn't felt in years. By March, they were spending every weekend together. By April, she introduced him to her team, someone I'm seeing, she said. By May, they were talking about marriage. Some of her coworkers raised concerns. Are you sure? They asked gently. But Leona brushed it off. Sometimes things don't take long. When you know, you know. On May 27, 2023, they got married at the courthouse. No wedding guests. No party. Just two people signing papers. He told her he didn't have family to invite, grew up in foster care, had no real connections. She understood. She'd lived through that same kind of loneliness. They moved in together right after. He started helping with small things, suggesting ways to make her business more efficient. He offered to sort her financial paperwork, manage invoices, and even combine some of her accounts for simplicity. It's better for taxes, he said, and easier in case of emergencies. She agreed. That's what marriage is, sharing. By early June, he had access to nearly everything: her business accounts, her savings, even the app she used to manage the rental property. But he was careful. He didn't rush. He didn't act suspicious. He stayed just helpful enough to avoid questions. What Leona didn't know, what nobody knew, was that Ruben Kai Delmore wasn't real. He never worked in shipping. Never moved a single crate. He had no real job, no official records. The name Ruben didn't exist, no taxes, no medical files, no lease agreements. Nothing. Because it was all fake. The name, the career, the backstory, even the man behind the polished clothes and quiet charm was someone else entirely. A skilled liar. A man who had lived under many names, each one carefully crafted to match the kind of woman he was after. And Leona? She wasn't the first. For years, he had drifted from city to city, changing names, changing stories, finding women who lived quiet, independent lives, women with money, homes, and no one constantly checking in. He didn't steal right away. That wasn't his game. He got close first. Slowly, carefully. He made them trust him. Made them feel like they needed him. He took his time. Learned where she kept things, how her files were set up, what apps she used. Slowly, he figured out what she had access to, and how to use it. Then he waited. Waited for the perfect moment to flip the story. To create a problem only he could solve. To build a crisis just believable enough where he could be the rescuer. That's when the real plan began. It was Monday morning, June 11th, 2023. Just 2 weeks after they'd gotten married. Leona Patrice Ward woke up around 6. She had a meeting with an important client across town at 9:30. She went through her usual routine: black coffee, quick email check, hair tied back neatly. She wore sharp slacks and a clean blazer. The only jewelry on her was her wedding ring. She leaned over and kissed Ruben goodbye. He was still half asleep. "I'll be back by lunch," she said. It was meant to be a regular morning, the kind you barely remember later. But by 8:47 a.m., everything had changed. Leona was pulled over on the side of Peachtree Avenue, her hazard lights blinking. 3 police cars had boxed her in. A K-9 unit was already circling her car. The stop wasn't aggressive. One patrol car quietly followed her for a few blocks before flipping on its lights. She pulled over, calm and confident. She hadn't done anything wrong. Her papers were all in order. No speeding. No expired tags. No reason to worry. Still, something felt off. The officer who approached didn't raise his voice, but his tone was cold, methodical. He asked her to step out of the car before telling her why. She did as she was told, confused, but composed. Then came the dog. It sniffed the sides, the back seat, and finally the trunk. That's where it stopped. The handler signaled. The officers paused. Then one popped the trunk. Inside, they found a black duffel bag. Zipped up. Plain. No labels. Looked brand new. When they opened it, they found 3 tightly wrapped packages. Plastic and cellophane layered again and again. Inside, a white powder pressed into bricks. No labels. No scent. No prints. They asked her what it was. She said she had no idea. They asked again. Same answer. "I've never seen that bag before." The officers exchanged glances. One pressed his shoulder, Mike. Then came the cuffs. Cold. Tight. Fast. They told her she was being detained for suspected possession of illegal substances. They didn't say what kind. Not yet. She kept trying to explain. "That's not mine. I've never carried anything like that. I don't even know where it came from." But it didn't matter. The bag was in her trunk. The keys were in her hand. The car was registered to her name. Later, the contents of the bag would be tested. It was a Schedule I substance, enough to be considered trafficking across state lines. From the outside, it looked clean. No fight. No confusion. Just a woman in designer heels now sitting in the back of a police cruiser. What she didn't know was that just 15 minutes before the stop, someone had called in a tip. A blocked number. A man's voice. Short. Urgent. Black SUV. Peachtree Avenue. Woman headed east. Might be carrying something. Heard something weird at a gas station. Figured I should say something. No name. No callback number. The phone had already been thrown out. A cheap burner used once, then dropped into a storm drain. And the person who made that call? The same man she kissed goodbye that morning. The man who knew her entire routine. The man who insisted she drive her own car that day. The man who claimed his phone was dead when she offered hers. The man who told her to leave early. Traffic gets heavy on Peachtree before 9. It was all part of his setup. And she never saw it coming. At the station, she was booked. Fingerprints. Mugshot. Still in shock. Still insisting it's not mine. I need to call my husband. They let her. He didn't answer. 10 minutes later, he called back. His voice sounded calm but just concerned enough. Ruben, please, she said. They found something in the car. I don't know what it is, but they're saying it's serious. I need you to come. He said he was on his way. She waited. Alone. In a quiet room with flickering lights and air conditioning that hummed too loud. She asked to speak to someone. They said a detective would be with her soon. At 11:03 a.m. she was brought into a small, windowless interview room. 2 officers. One investigator in a gray button-down. A recorder on the metal table between them. They read her the charges. Possession of a Schedule I controlled substance. Then came the heavier part. With intent to distribute. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just stared forward. Calm. Still, I don't even know what that stuff is, she said. I don't use. I don't sell. That bag doesn't belong to me. They told her the drugs had been tested right there at the scene. Confirmed. 3 bricks. Pressed and packed in a way they'd seen before, typical of cross-state trafficking. They asked if she'd been to Alabama or South Carolina lately. She had. Not for work. But with Ruben. A few road trips. They asked who owned the car. She did. Who had access to it? Just her. Sometimes. Ruben. When was the last time she opened the trunk? She couldn't remember. Maybe days ago. Maybe longer. Any criminal history? None. Any financial struggles? She wasn't aware of any. Then came the real question. So why would something like this be in your car? And she looked right at them and answered, calm and clear. Why would I do this? Why would I risk my company, my name, my life? They had no response. Because to them, all that mattered was this. The car was hers. The keys were in her hand. There were no witnesses. No one to say the drugs weren't hers. And while they didn't find Leona's fingerprints on the packaging, they didn't find anyone's. The bags were spotless. Whoever packed them had been careful. Gloves, precision, no mistakes. It was a professional setup. And as she sat there, confused, trying to explain the impossible, he walked in. Ruben. His shirt was fresh but slightly wrinkled. His face red like he'd been rushing. He looked stunned, wide-eyed, as if he couldn't believe what he was seeing. He pulled her into a hug, shook his head like he was struggling to process it all. Why would you do this, baby? He asked, his voice low. What were you thinking? How did this happen? Leona just stared at him. I didn't do anything. I swear to God. Ruben. I didn't even know that bag was there. He exhaled slowly. Okay. It's all right. We're gonna fix this. We just need a good lawyer. Someone sharp. I know a guy helped out a friend a few years back. He's expensive, but he's good. Really good. He'll know what to do. Leona, overwhelmed and desperate, nodded. Do whatever it takes. Ruben leaned in, touched her arm softly. That savings account you told me about, the one you don't really use, can I access it for the retainer? I'll handle everything. We just need to move fast. And of course she said yes. Of course she gave him access. Because when your world's falling apart and the only person who's supposed to stand by you is right there, you trust them. Within half an hour, Ruben was gone. He said he was meeting with the lawyer, said he'd be in touch soon, said she should stay calm. By the second day, Leona believed she might get out. Her fingerprints weren't on anything. She had no record, no criminal ties, no reason to be caught up in something like this. But it didn't matter. The drugs were real. The car was hers. And the state wasn't looking at who she was. They were building their case around what was likely. Not who she seemed to be, but what the evidence suggested. At her first bail hearing, the state denied her release. The assistant DA said she was a flight risk, claimed she had access to multiple properties, plenty of cash, and no close family nearby to keep her grounded. Her financial independence, something she'd worked hard for, was used against her. They made it sound like she could vanish at any time. Leona was stunned. Her public defender tried to argue for house arrest instead. The judge said no. Denied. No bail? She would stay behind bars while the investigation continued. The charges were serious enough that federal agents started taking interest. And the drugs compressed, pure, packed with the kind of precision used in trafficking linked her to an active, multi-state investigation that stretched across Georgia, South Carolina, and Alabama. Then Ruben came back. He was calmer this time. Less rattled. He said he'd talked to someone with real experience in situations like hers. A consultant. Not a lawyer, not officially, but someone who knew the system inside and out. His name was Deshaun Harris. No license. No firm. But Ruben said this guy had been working behind the scenes for years, advising lawyers, shaping defense strategies, helping clients walk away clean. Leona only met him once, through the glass. He was polished, smooth-talking, confident. He said her case wasn't hopeless, just complicated. If they acted quickly, he could keep it from going federal, but they'd need serious backing. Resources. Full cooperation. When she asked Ruben what that meant, he told her they'd need more money. This time, he brought up the rental property. The one Leona had bought years ago. The one her parents helped her secure. Her plan B. Her escape route if life ever turned upside down. He said it was just a temporary thing. List it, he said. He doesn't need the whole sale, just a chunk for the retainer. We'll get it back once this is over. Leona hesitated. Again. And then she agreed. The transfer papers were signed digitally. 3 days later, the property was listed under a shell management company. After that? Silence. No lawyer. No updates. No visits. No Ruben. She called. No answer. Called again. Straight to voicemail. She tried the number for the lawyer Ruben gave her. Disconnected. Days passed. Then a week. Then 2. Her tablet showed no new emails. Her contacts? Still empty. And the silence? It was deafening. She told a guard one day, "I think I've been abandoned." The guard didn't say anything. He'd seen it before. By week 3, Leona stopped asking. The motions that were supposed to be filed never came. The man she married, the man who swore he'd fix everything, was just gone. No call. No visit. No explanation. Just absence. And for a while, she started to accept it. Started to believe she really was alone until someone showed up. Her name was Camille McNair, a project manager from Leona's design firm. They weren't best friends, not the kind who talked every day, but Camille noticed things. And for weeks, something about all of this hadn't sat right with her. She came on a Thursday. No cameras. Just a thick piece of plexiglass and an old phone receiver between them. Leona looked thinner. Pale. Her voice cracked when she said, "Hey." Camille asked how she was holding up. Leona didn't sugarcoat anything. "They found drugs in my car. They're saying I'm part of something big." "But Camille, I didn't even know that bag was there. I never touched it. I don't even know what it is." She paused, lowered her voice. "Ruben's gone, and so is that lawyer he brought in. They both disappeared the same day. He said we needed money. I gave him everything," Leona said quietly. "My savings. My rental property. I haven't heard from him since." Camille's expression shifted, just a little, barely enough to notice, but it changed. She began asking questions, and Leona answered as best as she could. There weren't many details to offer. Just a name, Deshaun Harris. Some vague messages from Ruben, and a gnawing feeling in her gut that none of it added up. Camille didn't promise anything when she left that day. But that night, over dinner, she told her husband. Detective Gerald McNair had been with the Atlanta Police Department for 15 years, most of them spent working narcotics and property crimes. He wasn't a man who jumped to conclusions. He listened, steady and calm, letting the facts settle before saying a word. When Camille finished recounting what Leona had told her, Gerald leaned back in his chair. "Send me the name," he said. "Let me see what I can dig up." She texted him, "Ruben Kai Delmore." Gerald ran the name through public databases, license records, DMV, voting rolls. Nothing. No hits. Not in Georgia. Not even in bordering states. No phone registration, no tax returns, no property deeds. It was as if the man didn't exist. He checked different spellings, tried hyphenated variations, even searched for known aliases. Still nothing. So he made a quiet call to someone at the DeKalb County Courthouse, a clerk who owed him a favor. He asked her to pull marriage licenses for May of 2023. She found a record. Leona Patrice Ward, bride. The groom listed as Ruben Kai Delmore. But the social security number under Ruben's information? It didn't match any federal record. It wasn't real. Gerald stared at the screen for a long moment. Then he sent a text to his team. Need a full background run. All known aliases. Go back 5 years, marriage licenses, court cases, federal filings, sealed indictments. Anything. Don't stop until you find something that bleeds. By the next morning, one of his colleagues called him back. You're gonna want to see this. What they found wasn't a man named Ruben, or a consultant named Deshaun Harris. There was no clean record, no innocent explanation. What they found was a trail. In law enforcement, there's a name for suspects like this, people who move through life without leaving a solid trace. Fake names, disconnected histories, and every answer only leads to more questions. They're called ghosts. And over the next 2 weeks, Gerald realized that's exactly what he was chasing. The man who married Leona under the name Ruben Kai Delmore didn't officially exist. Sure, there was a physical presence, a signature, a marriage license, but the identity was paper-thin, just a mask covering something deeper, something darker. Gerald widened the search. He pulled partial fingerprints from the marriage documents and cross-referenced them with traffic cams, DMV photos, and national databases. That's when he found the match. 3 identities. 3 different names. All tied to the same set of fingerprints. And each identity had one thing in common, a woman left behind in ruins. The first was in Houston, Texas, back in 2018. A 40-year-old school administrator. Engaged to a man calling himself Elliot Marsden. No prior record. No signs of trouble. Then one morning, she was pulled over on her way to a conference. Officers found a sealed bag in her trunk. No fingerprints, just a large quantity of an illegal substance. She was arrested on the spot. Denied bail. Her fiancé disappeared within 3 days. She drained her retirement fund trying to fight the charges. She lost, and she served 22 months in prison. The second case surfaced in Memphis, Tennessee in 2020. A fitness instructor. No family, lived alone. She met a man named Kian Rivers at a local wellness expo. Kind, attentive, soft-spoken. They were married within 6 months. 3 weeks later, she was pulled over and arrested. Marked bills and narcotics were found in the glove compartment of her car. Just like before, no fingerprints. No explanation. No fiancé. And no way out. Closing remark and conclusion. As we conclude this gripping tale of deception and manipulation, we are reminded of the complexities that lie beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary lives. Leona's journey, entangled in a web of betrayal, false identities, and a ruthless conspiracy, sheds light on the shadows that sometimes hide in plain sight. From her wrongful arrest to the haunting disappearance of those she trusted, the story of Ruben Kai Delmore, a man who may never have truly existed, is a stark reminder of how fragile truth can be when obscured by lies. Detective Gerald McNair's relentless pursuit of the truth offers a glimmer of hope amid the dark labyrinth of corruption. It serves as a testament to the power of perseverance and integrity even when the odds seem insurmountable. This story, like so many others in the world of true crime, holds invaluable lessons for us all, lessons about trust, justice, and the courage to uncover the truth no matter the cost. It reminds us that behind every case, there's a human story filled with heartache, resilience, and the pursuit of justice. A vote of thanks. To all our followers and readers, we want to express our heartfelt thanks for your continued support and engagement with our content. Your interest in these true crime stories and the lessons they carry fuels our passion to continue delivering gripping, thought-provoking narratives that entertain, educate, and inspire. We hope you found this story not only compelling but also enlightening, as it highlights the importance of learning from the complex and often disturbing realities of the world around us. This content is created with the purpose of providing valuable insights into the criminal justice system and the human condition, and we encourage you to keep exploring the stories we share on this channel. We are deeply committed to helping you expand your understanding and deepen your knowledge. Don't forget to keep reading and stay tuned for more real-life stories that continue to uncover the hidden truths of our society. Thank you for being a part of our community, and we look forward to bringing you even more riveting content in the future. Stay curious, stay engaged, and keep learning. The journey continues.